body of Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, the year of our Lord, 1471. The army has been called to arms, the peasant levies called to assemble. For Edward of York has marched on London. He has taken the city and declared himself King of England. And now, by the name of God, we march to take back the capital. The House of Warwick rides with the House of Lancaster to defeat Edward and restore the true King, Henry VI, to the throne. Our army musters in Coventry, where thousands upon thousands of archers have joined our cause, and hundreds of noble knights are willing to do battle for the true King of England. Well, we have been told to prepare for the siege, where our plan is to besiege the walls of London, invade the city, and take the throne back from Edward. But those walls of London are thick, so we have also been told to prepare that. One of the biggest, most powerful siege engines in the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Warwick Castle Trebuchet! This is Ursa, the bear. She stands at 18 metres tall and weighs 22 tons. And not only is she one of the biggest, most powerful trebuchets in the world, she is state-of-the-art in trebuchet design. It's those wheels on the side of her. Those wheels mean that we use manpower to load her. No longer do we need to use the traditional method of loading a trebuchet, which is simply towing down the throwing arm using a team of horses or oxen. Now, we have borrowed this technology from the medieval crane. The same crane that have helped build structures across medieval Europe. Abbeys, cathedrals, churches, city walls and castles like our very own at Warwick. So we've taken the wheels of the cranes and put them inside our war machines. So the technology that was once used to build castles is now being used to smash them down. So this is how she works. Those two wheels are connected with a central axle. A rope has been tied to the end of the throwing arm and led down to the A-frame at the back. The rope is passed through a pulley and then connected to the central axle. The person in charge of the machine is the trebuchet master, located at the back. With him is a crew of soldiers. 4 soldiers, 2 to climb inside each wheel, and their job is very simple. To walk inside those giant wheels, walking in that direction. Now their walking action turns the wheels and turns the axle, which tightens the rope around the axle, which in turn pulls down the throwing arm and lifts that wooden box you can see slowly rising in the centre. That box is the counterweight, the ballast, the source of our energy for our siege machine. And that counterweight box weighs 1 ton when it's empty. What we have done is placed a further 4.5 tons of rocks and rubble inside that box. So you have just witnessed 4 people lifting a total weight of 5.5 tons. So let's give them a big cheer! Excellent work, and what a feat of medieval engineering. Now the arm is down and the trebuchet master has engaged the trigger. The trigger is simply a metal hook which is attached to the A-frame at the back. Its counterpart is a metal loop located on the throwing arm. So the arm is brought down in line with the A-frame and the hook goes through the loop. It's as simple as that. That is the release mechanism. Also that follows is 2 safety implements. First of all, a metal firing pin is placed underneath the hook to lock it into position. Then a chain which is led from the base of the trebuchet at the back is then hooked to the end of the arm. This also means that all 22 tons of Ursa's own weight is locking down her own throwing arm. And it needs to be locked down, for as you can see, the job of the winders is not over just yet. They have been ordered to split into 2 teams. 1 winder from each wheel steps out to operate a brake at the front, which is simply a piece of oak at the base of each wheel. So this now leaves 1 winder remaining in each wheel, and they must walk on for a second time, this time in that direction. Now the reason why they have to get back inside the wheels and walk the other way is because of the rope used to pull down the throwing arm and lift up the counterweight. That rope has now wrapped itself around the central axle. So if the trebuchet master was to pull the trigger with that rope tightly coiled around the axle, well then Ursa would be destroyed. The axle will be torn from the heart of the machine, thrown out to the back and decapitating the trebuchet master in the process. So the winders now have the very important job of walking off the slack, taking that rope from the axle, making sure that Ursa has a free-flowing arm. But they must be careful not to remove all of the rope. We still need a small portion remaining on the axle, so when we shot her, we can start the whole winding and loading process once again. When it comes to war, we must be shooting this machine at least once every 6 minutes, which makes life inside the wheels extremely uncomfortable. Being a trebuchet winder is regarded as one of the worst jobs in history, and this is why. When you're inside those wheels and you walk that way, you not only have to walk the weight of the wheel, which weighs over a ton, you must lift that 5.5 tons of ballast, So this is not a walk in the park. You don't only have to walk, you must lift. You must stride high in the wheels, keep a straight back, make sure your head doesn't hit that central axle. It's a very tough job, and it's like walking up an ever-increasing hill. But at this stage of the mine, when you're walking that way, first of all, you're on your own. The reason why there's only one winder in each wheel is because there's no weight to lift. That is now under tension and locked off at the trigger. All we're doing is getting rid of that rope, so this is actually the easiest part of the wind, but actually the most dangerous, because that 1 ton of weight is still within that wheel. Instead of going against you, it's going to go with you. So if you go faster, the wheel goes faster, and it will turn into a race between you and the wheel is going to win. If you go too fast and run inside the wheel, you will lose yourself, fall, and tumble around inside the wheel until it stops. When it stops, you will crash down, hitting your back on that central axle and breaking your spine. So this is why we have those brake operators at the front. They communicate with the winders in each wheel, making sure that they keep a safe, steady pace. So, we can shoot our machine once every 6 minutes. Now that's quite slow when compared to that of the cannon. Now with cannons you can create a breach in a city wall, exactly what you need for a siege. But once that breach is met, you then have to send in your own men, soldiers, to fight inside the streets, through the buildings, inside that city. Now with close quarter medieval urban warfare, you have to be prepared to lose a lot of your men. Perhaps half of your soldiers won't survive. Now Ursa gives us another option, because not only with trebuchets can we launch projectiles at the city walls, but we can launch them over the walls, leave the walls intact, attack inside the city, make life for the inhabitants a living hell so they surrender. To do this, we can throw dead animals. Dead carcass of a cow or a horse is perfect. Their rotten carcasses could hit the water supply, contaminate it, they have to surrender. But the one thing medieval man was most frightened of was fire. Most of the internal structures of a medieval city will be made of wood and thatch, so we can launch fireballs from the trebuchet. If we launch fireball after fireball, we can create a raging inferno within that city, leaving our enemy with a simple choice: you surrender or you burn. But our plan for tomorrow is to breach the city walls and destroy the internal buildings. So we need to throw rocks, and that's what we're going to test our trebuchet with now. We will be launching an 18-kilo rock using slingshot. The call comes out for the trebuchet master, stone loaded. This means the rock has been placed into a sling, which is permanently attached to the throwing arm. They are loaded into the centre trough in the heart of the machine. The ball into the bag over the ball, the top rope is let down and hooked to the pin at the end of the arm. Stone loaded, we are almost ready for launch. Now we must begin the shooting sequence. So first of all, the trebuchet master takes off the chain. He then, with a steady hand, pulls the pin. The trebuchet is now live and ready to launch. Trebuchet master now steps off the machine to do his final checks, ensuring all of his crew are away from the machine, for he alone will take responsibility for the launching of the rock. And when he's happy, he will unravel the rope attached to the trigger, stand back, and with a cry of "have a care," he will unleash hell. But I think our trebuchet master needs some help. So we are going to do this all together. We are going to provide the trebuchet master with his cue, his command to pull that trigger. We're going to give him a countdown from 10, then we reach the end, we'll give him the command of loose. So, are you ready to count? Now that was rubbish. Come on, this is war. Are you ready to count? Then let's do it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, loose! And we launch! There she goes, launching the rock at 150 miles an hour. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen, the Warwick Castle Trebuchet! That is not achieved without a lot of hard work. So please, let's give a huge cheer and a round of applause for our trebuchet master and the hard-working crew! Fantastic, what a machine. Ladies and gentlemen, the next show we have for you today is at the front by the ballista on the east front for the Warwick Bowmen. And then do not miss the flight of the Eagles up the path from the Oak Tree Lawn at 12:30. But enjoy your day at Warwick Castle. Thank you for watching the Warwick Castle Trebuchet. Thank you!